Hey everybody, this is Dan Bauer back again for SERVPRO's Awesome Advent. And if you've never watched before, we are going live every day at 10:10 a.m. Trying to inject a little positivity into people's lives. And we're doing one of our favorite things to do here today, talking to an awesome local organization. They are doing incredible work. They are the Rural Outreach Center. They were founded in 2006, originally as a church outreach program for looking at urban poverty, but what they found is rural poverty was not only underserved, there really wasn't anybody serving it at all. So they sort of shifted gears, became an independent 501c3, and with a focus on not just rural poverty, but self-sufficiency, which I think is really cool. We're going to talk about what that means. We've got two wonderful guests today. We've got Monique, Brannon, and Camille, Arth. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Pretty good.
Cool. Monique, I was wondering if I kind of gave a little intro, but why don't you tell me in a little bit more depth what the Rural Outreach Center is and what you guys do?
Sure. Yeah. And thanks again for this opportunity. We are located just outside the village of East Aurora. Our mission is to assist, empower, and elevate rural populations within our area, southern tier of Western New York. So we work with families and individuals. They are participants, and they will come to us. They will sign a participant agreement, and we meet them where they are. So we say to them, what would you like to work on? Is it financial empowerment? Is it something to do with maybe home ownership? And what we do is we ask them what those goals are for them, and we help to move them through it and help them to self-sufficiency. So that would be housing, that would be health, that would be nutrition. It could be whatever their goals are. So we work within our community to help them to reach their goals.
Sure. And I'm curious to know, I looked it up on the website and kind of hinted at it, but I'm sure you could speak in more depth. Why the focus on rural communities?
Sure. So that's a great question. So over 40,000 people in our area deal with issues with trauma and poverty in rural areas. And in 2006, when Pathways Fellowship started to meet with community dinners to see what people needed, what they found was that there was really no services for the rural population. Transportation was an issue. There were just so many issues that were not being addressed. So at that time, that's when the focus really turned to rural issues.
And I think it's one thing that's really interesting about you guys is it's such a broad-based organization. There's so many different needs, like you mentioned, Monique, that you fill. And Camille, you are a social worker. And so I'm curious to know, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you in particular do to help folks who come to the center?
Yeah, so I have kind of several different roles here that are unique, I suppose. So one of the things that I do is I manage our Code Blue program, which is our homeless shelter during inclement weather. So I kind of have a role supervising that. And then I oversee our care management services department. So that's specifically that care coordination piece, dealing with acute needs and then long-term care coordination. And then my third role here is clinical, and I provide play therapy. I'm getting trained in something called TheraPlay. And then I'm getting trained right now in EMDR, and I'm trained in progressive counting. So what we primarily, the types of clinical things that we do here specifically are attachment focused and trauma focused, because those are the sorts of things that our people present with.
Sure. I guess just to help people at home understand what it is you do and the difference that you make, I was wondering if you could just tell a story of a specific person or family that you helped. Does anybody come to mind that you think really exemplifies your mission?
I think there's definitely unique stories, based upon each, based upon our mission at large, and then also the outcomes that we focus on. So definitely, there's definitely more child-focused stories and then also more adult-focused stories. But one of the ones that I really have been reflecting on more recently is an individual this time last year would have been living, not necessarily living, but was squatting in an abandoned building. They came in through our Code Blue program. and then became a long-term engaged participant. And now this individual he's self-sufficient. He's like he's sort of at the point of not needing us right now and being able to be discharged because he now has housing, he has a job, he has, all his basic needs are met, and he's feeling like very fulfilled, and was able to buy like a few like special items for himself too, that gives people a lot of pride being able to do that. So I really have been reflecting on like where he was last year, where he was literally living in an abandoned building with feral animals, and now has his own housing and is in a completely different place and may not even need us. So that's definitely like a really big success story, and one that really is about like what our mission is about.
I think too, if I could just jump in,
Sure,
I mean, we have so many success stories. One of them, some of them being, that may not necessarily mean.
Do you think we lost your video there, Monique? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, sorry about that. Some of them that may not necessarily mean, seem like they are big goals to meet for us, but they are huge for our participants. But I think too, it's important to say that none of what we do, we charge for any of our services. And so all of our work is done by the support of our philanthropic community, all of our foundations in Buffalo, our individual donors, our individual corporate and sponsorships. So none of the work that we could do would be possible without Buffalo, East Aurora, Southern Tier support. And we're just so thankful for that, and for you as well, SERVPRO, because we are changing lives, and we're only able to do that because we have that support.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. I was really happy to support you guys. I'm ashamed to admit that I wasn't super familiar with The Rock until about a month ago, when one of our customers here, Shelly Steiner at the Collins Agency, reached out to me and said, you should really take a look. And I was blown away by the fact that there was an organization out there focusing on this particular mission. Mm-hmm. And Monique, I actually wanted to kind of ask you to put a finer point on what we were just talking about. How would you describe that mission? And as a follow-up to that, how do you know when that mission succeeded with somebody? How do you know that you've succeeded in making them self-sufficient?
Right. So we track all of our participants, and we have a outcome system that we use, and Camille can probably speak to the finer points of how that works. But so our mission is just to to assist, empower, and to elevate. So again, we work with our participants with the goals that they've set for themselves, and we're able to track those outcomes because we track them on different scales. So over 51% of our participants improve at least one measure on that 14-point scale. So we track it, it's data. And because our founder, Dr. Frank Cerny, is from academia, that's super important. And we've done that since day one. So we're able to show that we are making a difference in these people's lives and exactly where we are, whether it's that they have moved on the financial scales, maybe they've moved in mental health, they've improved, which really, when we think about what we do, that's key to what we do. Because if you are not able to feed your family, if you're not able to have a place to live, how do you work to improve yourself financially? So when people come in, we go ahead and do an assessment at that time. We help them to meet their needs, but it's those basic needs that have to be done, that have to be taken care of, is what I should say. And also we need, as far as when we talk about COVID, and I'm kind of taking this to a different point, but we really have expanded our services recently. Normally it is our participants, people that come and sign an agreement with us that we work with. But because there's such a need in our community, people do not have food to eat. They just don't. What we're seeing is we're doing food distribution, which we're not a food pantry, but because our community needs that right now, we have to respond to that need, and we feel the need to do that. So we are doing food distributions. And I know a lot of people have seen that video, and it's a very powerful video. And what we know is that we know that people that were in that line were people that donated to us in previous years. So think about that. You know, people are finding themselves in a place that they never thought that they would be in. And I can assure you that every person in that line did not want to be there. They would have rather been somewhere else. So not only do we move people to self-sufficiency, but we also will answer those community, emerging needs that we have right now. And some of the other needs that have come forward recently is domestic violence, just the pressure that's being placed on families.
TikTok content.
And I know that Camille can probably speak to that in more detail, but that's what we do. We respond to what the community needs as far as emerging needs, but basically we just, we assist, empower, and elevate.
Great. I did want to ask before we move on from that, you referenced a video, and I can definitely link to it in the description, but in case people at home watching this haven't seen it or they're not familiar, what is that video and why is it so powerful?
So you can access any of the video. It's on our website. It's at TheRoc, THEROC.co, not .com, just .co. And those will all be listed under our media. But we have been working closely with Feed More, Western New York, and also the USDA has a program. It's called Farms to Families is how it started. And it was a program that they started immediately in the springtime to address the problem of food insecurity. People simply did not have enough food to eat. So Farm to Family, USDA, and Feed More, Western New York, partnered to support food distributions in areas around Western New York. So we were a recipient of those two organizations. And so the video was taken, I want to say it was maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago now. And it is all of the cars that are lined up on Olean Road in East Aurora, waiting to receive, those food boxes that were distributed to our community, to the rural community. And one thing that I want to note is that there are other agencies within urban and suburban Western New York that do provide services like we do. Not exactly like we do, but a lot of our participants they're not comfortable going into an urban center. They're not comfortable going even into the village of East Aurora. So it's a service that sits right outside of there that makes them comfortable. And it's a reason why that we would do a food distribution when normally we wouldn't, because we can reach so many more people.
Sure. You kind of mentioned this already, but I do want to make sure we talk about it specifically. Rewind back to March, April, when the pandemic things were locking down, things were getting, more serious here in New York. How did that change how you approach what you do? And how did that change the need that you see in the community?
I know. I was going to jump in. I know when that happened, it almost was like we flipped a switch. So one day it was like pre-COVID life, we were seeing everyone in person and everything was normal. And then we came in one day and we knew that, obviously things were not good and we needed to adjust what we were going to do. So, by the next day we had a plan and we were switching all of our, therapy appointments online to Zoom, but then we were also switching over as kind of some emergency wellness bag and food distribution for people. So everyone, even clinical staff, stepped up and made sure that people's basic needs were being met. And we contacted all of our participants, just indicating that we're not going anywhere. We're still physically in the building if you really needed something, that we were going to try and support with food, and that we would still be available for mental health appointments over telehealth. So I think we sprung into action really quick. And then we noticed pretty quickly that the community really needed, and the community at large, not just engaged participants, but people, again, that have never accessed any sort of service in their life, needed assistance for the first time applying for unemployment, SNAP benefits, and needing, some emergency food or paper products. So we are still doing that right now. And as things kind of go from, opening a little bit to reclosing and things, you can definitely notice with our reporting and stuff, the themes where, unemployment assistance will go up when things are there are more restrictions placed, and it'll kind of fluctuate. So yeah, as a team, we just all really shifted, and we're able to pretty quickly like predict what those needs would be.
Great.
I think one thing that we are proud of as an agency is that what we're finding is that people that were participants with ROC prior to the pandemic really are stable, and they did not need as much assistance. And so we were really thankful that we were able to receive additional funding through our community to really help the larger community, because those are really the people that we find that have the emerging needs. So we really see that our data supports that our participants were able to ride through the beginning of the pandemic much better than our overall rural community was.
I think part of that too has to do with, we work with a considerable number of adults that are on SSD or SSI. So they're kind of used to already living on this fixed small income. So they didn't take as hard of a hit maybe as a community member where like both people lost all of their income or something like that. So yeah, it just kind of like emphasizing what Monique like said, we've assisted them with budgeting and being able to like be self-sufficient with what they do have, and they didn't need us as much as we thought that they might. It's really been the community at large that's needed us.
Sure. Well, it's great that you're there, and I think that's a really incredible testament to the work that you guys do. And awesome Adventers out there watching, I hope that you guys are picking up on that when you support the ROC and they go out and help someone, they're not just helping them to eat or helping them to get resources or helping them financially. They're helping them to build resilience and stability and self-sufficiency so that they are able to weather the storm a little bit better in the future. I think that's a real testament to what you guys do. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Dennis. Well said too.
Thanks. I'm curious to know what's the future hold for you guys. We're coming up on the end of 2020, looking ahead to 2021. Of course, nobody knows what's going to happen. Unprecedented times, whatever. But I'm sure everybody's sick of hearing that. But what's on your mind? What are you looking forward to?
Well, so we're looking forward to 2021 being hopefully a more stable year, but we have some really exciting things happening at ROC. Like I said, we've been getting some incredible funding through our community. We're hoping to, of course, increase the amount of people that we can reach. Last year alone, we had over 4,500 touch points, which means that people that receive direct services from us, they may not be participants, fully engaged participants, but maybe through our backpack program, they received a backpack, or maybe through the food distribution, we were able to help them that way. We are currently working on a capital project. We are currently located in a double wide trailer with a additional room that was provided by the Kiwanis in East Aurora. So we have simply outgrown. We now have our code blue is across the street in a home, another house. And then up the street at 400 Olean, we have an auxiliary office that we've had to expand because we can't have all of our staff in the double wide trailer and be COVID safe. Sure. So we had to go ahead and rent another location. But our capital project is a 8,800 square feet multi-use capital, just a really nice, very minimal, but a place where our people will be able to come and feel as though they're comfortable, that they're our focus. It'll provide, we have a whole wing of mental health counseling offices. We have multi-use that we'll be able to open to the community to use. We're super excited about getting that. We're halfway through that funding for that. So it's hard work, but our community has stepped forward. Erie County has pledged some funding for that. And that really will be what we're focusing on improving for next year, getting that funding done. It's going to be on the site where we are, so our participants will still be super comfortable coming, and it'll be familiar to them. But as far as when we look at the food distributions that we did right now, we're not able to do that at our facility. Even now, we wouldn't be able to do it because of the snow. We can't have people lined up, on the side of the road like we did in the fall. So we're working really diligently to get Rock Central is what we're calling it, a place of, hope and healing for our participants and for our community. And then, of course, providing as many resources as we possibly can for our participants. We're currently working on the very arduous process of being approved for taking Medicare and Medicaid. It's super important for us to get through that process so that we can bill for some of our services. But again, that won't preclude people coming that can't pay for our services. And that's really what's important to us. We want to make sure that everyone can come for the help that they need. And then as far as in particular, the mental health component, Camille could probably speak to the details of how that program is going to be expanded for next year.
Sure, Camille.
Yeah, so we, in terms of expanding, we've added on an additional social worker in July. So we have 4 individuals that can provide clinical mental health services. Well, no, actually 5, because one of our interns also just came on as full-time. So we have 5 people that can provide clinical services, and that's a mixture of individual sessions and then as well as group therapy. So I know that we're really going to expand on that, on like the group counseling piece, pending whatever happens with COVID, but we'll make it happen somehow, because we always do. But so yeah, just expanding on that piece. And then we also are kind of switching around the departments a little bit as well. So we're really trying to have like a very like seamless process from intake to discharge, where people's acute needs are first met with Kelly in acute care management. Then they're transferred to our overarching program called UROC, where they can receive long-term care management and then long-term counseling. And then they stay there as long as they need, have access to the programs that they need, and then we discharge them when it's fit. So we're really, COVID's given us the ability to really reflect on like our processes and how we could how our overarching program, UROC, how we really want to make that look and do it the best way, and a way that's in line with our mission and the population we serve.
Awesome. All right, final question. I would love to hear from both of you. Camille, maybe you can start, and then Monique, you can wrap us up. But Adventers, if you skip to the end to get your next steps, here they are. Who can you help? And how can people help you? So I guess it's a 2-parter, but Camille, how would you answer that?
Who they can help.
Who do you help? And then how can people help you?
Okay, the people that I specifically help?
Yeah.
Okay, well, so we help families and children and individuals in rural poverty, and that's specifically in line with our mission. And I think some of the ways that you can help is with just even by going to our website and educating yourself and familiarizing yourself with the rural populations, because they are called the invisible poor for a reason, because they're easy to forget about. You don't have to look every day and see that sort of poverty like you might in the city or in a more urban setting. So I would encourage people to familiarize themselves maybe with our agency and check out our website. And we have a new TikTok. It's called, we have a TikTok account. So familiarizing yourself with us and maybe some of the places that we partner with as well.
Great. How would you answer that question, Monique? Who can you help? Who should be coming to you for help? And then how can the audience here help you guys?
Okay, so of course we help with people living in the rural areas and with their challenges. You also could, we have a robust children's program providing play therapy, TheraPlay. We have a program called Think Big and Dream Big, which is our summer program. You can help in a way that will help our academic support. If you can do tutoring, of course, all of this is contingent on COVID and how that works safely for everyone. But we are looking for people that have expertise in marketing. And, if you can volunteer as far as communications, helping us with, how we meet the challenge of this incredibly challenging problem, but also the opportunity that Rock has been given in the last maybe 6 months to expand our reach. So volunteering, when things get better, we have drivers that will help people get to like medical appointments and get downtown to be able to apply for SNAP and those other kind of benefits. So you can volunteer, you can donate. We're at therock.co again. Again, we're raising money, we're raising funds for people's direct needs, for providing counseling for them, for also providing transportation, and then again, Rock Central, trying to build that building so we can reach more people and provide real stability for the rural population.
Awesome. So I'm going to repeat myself a little bit, but I think it's worth saying the Rural Outreach Center is, well, let me say this. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, I want to get involved. I want to help. You can feel really called to serve in some capacity. And then you think of how much need is out there and it's totally overwhelming. You think, what can I possibly do? One really incredible thing about The Rock is that when you support them and you support the participants, you're not just helping them eat for a day. You're not helping them right now, but you're also helping them to build the self-sufficiency to weather the next storm and the next storm after that. You're building a foundation. You're not just thinking about the now. So if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like, am I really going to help? This is an organization that is building that resilience to need. And so they absolutely deserve your support. And I really, check out the website, theroc.co, not .com. I will link to that and the video we mentioned in the description here. Any final messages for folks, Monique or Camille?
Well, I would just like to say thank you for the support of our community. The work that we do really does change lives, and we can only do it because of your support. And Dan, I wanted to thank you again for the opportunity. You are a great spokesperson for rural outreach, and we really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You guys make it easy. You do a lot of great work.
Thank you.
Thanks. So yeah, this has been SERVPRO's Awesome Advent. Come back tomorrow, 10 a.m. and we'll see you then. If you want to be reminded when we go live, I'll put a form in the comments as well. You just fill that out. You'll get an email or a text message, and you can learn more about all these great organizations. So until then, I'll see you next time. Thank you to The Rock, Monique, and Camille for being here with us. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thanks.